Hello, I'm Alon Burstein, visiting assistant professor in the Department of Political Science and Israel Institute Fellow at the University of California, Irvine, here bringing you the summary of the last 24 hours of the Israel-Hamas war. It is currently the eve of November 18, 2023 in the United States and the morning of November 19, 2023 in the Middle East. Starting with the hostage situation, the kidnapped Israelis are held in the Gaza Strip. The Washington Post today reported that a deal has been reached under Qatari negotiations and with U.S. involvement between Israel and Hamas. Now, the White House later denied this report and said the negotiations are still underway and Israel made no comment. However, the report in the Washington Post was fairly detailed. It said that there's a 6-page document that both sides have agreed to that would include the release of at least 50 hostages in small batches every 24 hours over a 5-day period in which there will be a pause in the war. The report did not mention any Palestinian prisoners that would be released. However, it did also add that Israeli drones would still operate in the Gaza Strip during these 5 days. I mention that because in the last 2 days there were reports that Hamas is insisting, as part of any deal that will come to the fold, that Israel not operate drones during the days of pause. However, at this point it is unclear if this deal has actually been reached or if this is speculation at this time. In addition, relating to the hostages, the Al-Qassam Brigade, which is the military wing of Hamas, today put out a statement stating that it has lost communications with some of the units guarding the hostages, and that Hamas does not know the status of the units or the hostages they were guarding. Now, Hamas in the last several days, and specifically since the war began, has been putting out all kinds of threatening messages that Israel's bombardments are endangering the hostages. It is possible this is part of their psychological warfare, trying to suggest that Israel should curtail its bombardments because it is endangering the hostages. There are no other reports from Israeli intelligence relating to that statement from the Al-Qassam brigades. Moving on to the ongoing fighting in the Gaza Strip. There were continuous rocket barrages today targeting the southern parts of Israel and the central parts of the country. So there were rockets that targeted the areas surrounding the Gaza Strip. Ashkelon, there was direct hit in the town of Sderot. In addition, there were rocket barrages towards the Shfila area. Towns like Rehovot, Nis Tziona, Ramle, and Lod were all targeted with rockets. In addition, the IDF reported a substantial expansion of its activity in the northern parts of the Gaza Strip, and specifically the area surrounding Gaza City. There was specific intensive fighting today reported in the Zaytun area, where the IDF is engaging Hamas's what is known as the Zaytun Brigade. In addition, there was substantial activity in the town of Jabalia, where Hamas maintains 4 different brigades, and there are reports that that town houses Hamas's main northern command structures. Relating to the fighting in Jabalia, Hamas reported today that 50 people were killed in a UN compound in Jabalia that was bombed by the IDF. Importantly, the Palestinian Health Ministry, nor the UN, nor the IDF has not confirmed any of this. I only mention this because in the past, these organizations have been more cautious before they report who actually bombed what target. Hamas has, however, already put out that claim. In addition, there were reports in Palestinian news agencies of substantial bombing that occurred in Deir al-Balach, as well as in Beit Lahia, Beit Hanun, and different areas of the Gaza City. Regarding the possibilities of the IDF expanding its activities down south, there was a report today in Israel's Channel 11 that Yahya Sinwar, who is the leader of Hamas in the Gaza Strip, and Mohammed Def, who is the leader of the Al-Qassam brigades, the military wing of Hamas in the Gaza Strip, have escaped the north of the Strip and are in Han Yunis. The IDF itself did not comment about this, simply stating that they are hunting down those 2 leaders wherever they are. In addition, though, there were statements by different political officials regarding the possibility of Israel expanding its operations down south. The minister Benny Gantz, who is part of the war cabinet today, stated in a press conference, "The campaign is expanding and it will only end when we've restored security and brought the girls and boys home," relating specifically to the kidnapped Israelis. Israel's Minister of Defense Gallant in the same press conference was more explicit. He stated, "Thousands of terrorists have been killed in the last weeks and days. With each day there are less places Hamas terrorists can hide. Anyone in the western part of Gaza City understands this and has met the IDF's might. Anyone on the eastern side will understand that in the coming days, and those in southern Gaza will understand that soon." So again, this is an explicit statement that the IDF is going to be turning its attention towards a ground invasion of the southern parts of the Gaza Strip soon enough. Relating to this, there were reports today that the IDF bombed the city of Han Yunis, which is one of the main cities in the southern parts of the Gaza Strip, specifically targeting an apartment building. There are reports of between 26 and 40 people who were killed in this apartment building, and the reports suggest that the dwellers of this apartment building included a main figure in Hamas, but not someone from the top leadership. Relating to a possible timetable of IDF's invasion down south, officials in the U.S. military told New York Times today that Israel stated to them that uncovering and dealing with the tunnel system in Gaza City is going to take several weeks, and only then will Israel turn its attention down south. So I remind everyone that I reported several days ago the IDF has started distributing leaflets to different neighborhoods in Han Yunis, calling upon Palestinians to begin evacuating. In the past, when Israel did this in the north of the Gaza Strip, it was almost 2 weeks until it invaded down south. Now these reports are stating it may be another week or two, but Israel is probably turning its sights towards down south as well. Regarding casualties in the Gaza Strip, 7 IDF soldiers are reported killed in the Gaza Strip in the last 24 hours. In addition, there's a report that the Palestinian Health Ministry is stating that upwards of 12,300 Palestinians have been killed since the war began and over 30,000 have been injured. However, this report was not confirmed as being stated by the Palestinian Health Ministry in the different UN sources. I mention this because the Palestinian Health Ministry in the last several days has not put out an official statement on how many Palestinians have been killed. This relates to the breakdown of communications arrays in the Gaza Strip. So one report today stated that this is a statement of the Palestinian Health Ministry, but it was not echoed by the usual channels that echo their statements. Moving on to the humanitarian situation in the Gaza Strip, there are conflicting reports regarding whether the IDF ordered the immediate and complete evacuation of Al-Shifa Hospital before moving in, or, according to the IDF, hospital administrators requested the IDF to allow the evacuation. Either way, there was a massive evacuation occurring today of Al-Shifa Hospital. Most of the people have been evacuated. The World Health Organization reported that there are still 291 patients and 25 staff remaining in the hospital amidst a contingent of internally displaced Palestinians. The Palestinian Health Ministry actually put this number as fairly less, stating that there are only 120 patients that still remain in the hospital. Reports in Al Jazeera stated that 6 dialysis patients and 22 intensive care patients died in the evacuation. There are different pictures and images showing scores of Palestinians leaving the Al-Shifa Hospital. In addition, the IDF reported that it is allowing and facilitating this evacuation, that it transferred to Al-Shifa Hospital 6,000 liters of water and 2,300 kilograms of food in the last 24 hours. Regarding humanitarian aid, there was a report in the Saudi Al Arabiya news network stating that 3 fuel trucks carrying 129,000 liters of fuel entered the Gaza Strip in the last 24 hours. This was reiterated by different news sources. UNRWA stated that it received 123,000 liters of fuel in the last 24 hours. Remind everyone that yesterday a deal was reached in which Israel is going to allow 60 to 70,000 liters of fuel to enter each day, but it is possible that the first shipments of fuel are much more substantial in order to allow UNRWA to restore its operations. In addition, the first plane carrying injured Gazan children landed in Abu Dhabi today in the United Arab Emirates. So United Arab Emirates has stated that it is going to take in upwards of 1,000 injured Palestinian children. Today, the first plane load arrived. In addition, Russia reported today that 550 of its citizens in the Gaza Strip have evacuated in the last week. In total, in the last 24 hours, 689 Palestinians with dual citizenship left the Gaza Strip through the Rafah crossing, and 41 people who were badly injured also evacuated to the El Arish hospital. There were no trucks of humanitarian aid reported entering in the last 24 hours. Moving on to the West Bank, while I reported yesterday that there was a drone attack in the Balata area and that several Palestinians were killed, in addition to Muhammad al-Sufi, who is one of the top commanders of Fatah activity in the refugee camp of Balata, it was reported today that Muhammad Zahid, who is also one of the main Fatah activists in the city, was also killed. In addition, in the last 24 hours, 2 Palestinians are reported killed, 1 in Jenin and 1 in Bethlehem, and there are reports of 6 more Palestinians that were injured in various different confrontations with the IDF. In addition, it was reported today that in coordination with Israel, Jordan is establishing a field hospital in Nablus, and this is an extremely rare move, and there are different reports in the Palestinian network that there is growing fear that this relates to some sort of operation that Israel may be planning in the coming days or weeks, because it is never allowed in the past for any foreign entity, specifically Jordan, to set up such a hospital. In addition, there were reports relating to the transfer of funds from Israel to the Palestinian Authority. So I reported in the last several weeks that there's a back and forth between Israel and the Palestinian Authority. Israel is supposed to transfer a large contingent of funds that constitute the main bulk of the Palestinian Authority's budget to the Palestinian Authority. Israel, since the war began, said that it was not going to transfer these funds. Then it said that it would transfer these funds, but it was going to deduct the portion that is due for the Gaza Strip. The Palestinian Authority then rejected the funds and said that they demand the entire funds, including the Gaza Strip. Today it was reported that the Shabak, that's the equivalent of the Israeli FBI, and the Israeli Defense Forces have prepared a mechanism to allow the transfer of funds to the Palestinian Authority that will include the funds that go to the Gaza Strip, stating that they can assure that at least half of the funds that are destined for the Gaza Strip will not reach Hamas. However, the Israeli political establishment made no comment about this. In addition, Politico today stated that President Biden has ordered officials in his administration to examine actions against those responsible for the West Bank settler violence, specifically sanctioning and denying visas. Biden also mentioned this in a column that he published in the Washington Post, in which he specifically called out settler violence in the West Bank as one of the things that could lead to a massive deterioration of security in the entire region. Moving on to the north of Israel, southern parts of Lebanon, there was a barrage of at least 25 mortars and rockets today fired from Lebanon into Israel. Specifically, these targeted the Shtula area in the western Galilee and Sasa area in upper Galilee. In addition, there were rockets sent towards Kiryat Shmone and specific gunfire towards several different IDF outposts. In addition, there was a suspicious aerial target that was launched from Lebanon that was intercepted and shot down by the IDF. Hezbollah claimed responsibility for at least 5 different border instances in the last 24 hours. The IDF reported that it retaliated with different artillery and aerial attacks against a range of targets, specifically highlighting lookout posts and military infrastructure. In addition, after yesterday reported that a surface-to-air missile was launched by Hezbollah against an IDF drone, the IDF reported that it attacked Hezbollah surface-to-air missile launching sites and specific caches of these missiles in Lebanon. In addition, there was a report that the IDF attacked in the town of Anabatia an aluminum factory that is associated with Hezbollah. Some initial reports suggested this may have been associated with the surface-to-air missiles. However, later was reported that this is part of Hezbollah's funding mechanism and that this area was attacked. This is the farthest north that the IDF has attacked in Lebanon since 2006. Moving on to some of the political and general trends that occurred in the last 24 hours. Visiting Israel, French defense minister stated again today, nothing is unavoidable regarding regional escalations, and he reiterated Israel has a right to self-defense while respecting humanitarian law. In addition, in a press conference today, Prime Minister Netanyahu attempted to repel some of the internal criticism in Israel regarding the decision of the War Cabinet to allow fuel into the Gaza Strip. So I reported yesterday there was intensive criticism from different elements throughout Israel's political establishment about this decision. Netanyahu today stated that Israel is not acquiescing to everything the United States wants, however, that it does require, and I'm quoting, the United States' diplomatic iron dome to help defend Israel. He also stated, and I'm quoting, when the IDF and Shabak recommended to the cabinet that we accept the American request to allow limited entrance of 2 trucks of fuel per day, the cabinet unanimously accepted. So again, this is now trying to repel the suggestion that he himself was the one who took this decision, saying it was actually the Shabak, actually the IDF, and that in fact Israel is withstanding a lot of international pressure, but this was required in order to appease the United States. In other political developments today, Mahmoud Abbas, the chairman of the Palestinian Authority, gave a speech in which he called upon President Biden to intervene in the war and said that it is his responsibility to stop Israeli genocide against the Palestinian people in the Gaza Strip. In addition, there was a regional security conference today that was held in Bahrain. In it, Deputy Foreign Minister of Saudi Arabia stated that Saudi Arabia is working closely with Iran in order to try to bring about regional stability. In addition to this conference, the Jordanian Foreign Minister stated that Hamas is an idea and that you cannot destroy an idea with weaponry. He essentially said that he's not sure what Israel's plan is to destroy Hamas, adding, I'm quoting, Israel's war is not self-defense but aggression. He gave his entire speech without mentioning the Hamas attack on October 7th. Moving on to the speculation regarding the future of the Gaza Strip. President Biden today wrote an op-ed in the Washington Post in which he discussed both the war in Ukraine and the war between Israel and Hamas, in which he laid out also his vision for the future of the region. He stated, I'm quoting, a 2-state solution is the only way to ensure a long-term security for both Israeli and Palestinian peoples, adding that a momentary ceasefire will not accomplish that. He called for Hamas's destruction, and specifically regarding the future, he laid out several different things that have to be part of the vision for the future. Among them, he stated that Gaza must never again be a platform for terrorism, there must be no forced displacement of Palestinians, no reoccupation by Israel, no more siege or blockades, no reduction of territory, and specifically that after the war is over, and I'm quoting, Gaza and the West Bank must be reunited under a single governance structure, ultimately under a revitalized Palestinian Authority, as we all work together towards a 2-state solution. Now, relating to this in a press conference, Netanyahu again alluded to the fact that the Palestinian Authority will not take control of the Gaza Strip. However, later in question period, he was asked specifically about Biden's call, and he then stated the Palestinian Authority in its current form cannot take control of the Gaza Strip. This is important because while Netanyahu has been explicit that the Palestinian Authority will not retake control of the Gaza Strip and that Israel will have complete security control whenever it comes to relating to any diplomatic pressure or specifically negotiations with President Biden, he always states in the current form, which actually matches what President Biden said, that a revitalized Palestinian Authority will eventually take control of the Gaza Strip. In addition, relating to this, Israel's foreign minister today and member of the expanded cabinet, Eli Cohen, stated, and I'm quoting, Israel will have security control from the Jordan River to the sea, and he specifically added the Palestinian Authority is not a solution to the future of the Gaza Strip. So once again, this tells us there's ongoing pressure on Israel to come up with some sort of future vision regarding the Gaza Strip. Israel has not come up with that yet. However, the United States is laying out its plan that will involve the Palestinian Authority in some sort of strength and capacity, retaking control of the Gaza Strip, which also matches things that the EU has put out in the past. That is my report for the last 24 hours. I'll be back tomorrow.